welcome to Around the Region. I'm Kahla Buchanan, and tonight we're starting off the show at Alberta's very first and only organic fruit winery. I got to spend a beautiful day with the Chrapko family at their home, where they've been making organic wines for over a decade.
Well, it was all by happenstance or accident when our dad died unexpectedly, and my sister and I, we decided that we wanted to keep the winery going because he'd put so much time and effort getting it started in the province, the cottage wine industry, that we thought we can't let it go. So we went ahead.
And what's life been like for you since then?
It's been a huge growing curve. Because, coming from education, and even at that, like after teaching in the classroom, I did have my own business as a professional speaker and facilitator. So, I'd already kind of experienced entrepreneurship. And then this was, taking it to another level. My sister's making it and I'm moving it.
Now, the marketing is definitely something I want to touch on because it is incredibly unique. And all the wines have very creative and very funny names. What's a really memorable story for you as far as naming them goes?
Well, this starts back in 2009, and I was at the Spruce Grove Farmers Market. It's a tiny little market, and it was our first day there. I was with a gal who was training to be a wine diva with us, and this elderly couple, British couple, had a booth there. They were in their 70s, and I stepped out for a bit to visit one of the liquor stores that carried our wine, and when I came back, he said to me, he goes, while you were away, I bought the alfalfa wine. And I'm going to give it to my wife, hoping that she'll want to go for a roll in the hay. So when we were rebranding and coming up with a name for the alfalfa wine that would fit the theme of birds and bees and that playful naughtiness, roll in the hay is what it came to be.
Sounds perfect. Now, what is a wine diva you'd mentioned?
That's what we call the people who help us at the farmers markets. Or wine divos. Yes.
They're male counterparts.
Yes, that's right. As an orchard winery, we're up against a huge industry, a lot of competition. So it's how do you stand out? And fruit wines are not typically people's, first choice of wines, and they think that they're sweet and syrupy, and we want people to get interested in our wines and try them because they aren't sweet and syrupy. We go from dry to semi-sweet, and we needed them to remember us, and that was the impetus behind the names.
And as long as keeping everything kind of local, I'm guessing it also kind of diversifies the land as well, because there's not just grain and wheat and canola and everything else we see here. You can actually grow fruit in Alberta.
Yes, yeah. And it was the University of Saskatchewan that my parents had been working with back in the 90s when they were developing fruits for the prairies, because the university here in Alberta had stopped that program or that department, and it was the U of S, and they needed people to trial these things. And my dad, always being curious and an experimenter, said, sure, why not? And that's why we've got haskap and sea buckthorn and some different kinds of fruits that aren't commonplace.
Now, for all the different and really kind of strange or kind of wines that you guys have, what would be your favorite?
My favorite is actually a blend between the Saskatoon and the rhubarb wine.
And a blend, because people normally, you don't blend wines. I'm guessing nobody would do half and half in a glass.
No, it would be considered really, backward, and there wouldn't be a positive outcome. It's what I call a national disaster in your mouth. But the chemistry of orchard wines is different, and there seems to be more flexibility. And it was something that we discovered just by chance. And it turned out great. People ask us, why don't you bottle this? It's fantastic.
So bottle the blend?
Yeah, bottle the blend. Our mead is very popular because it has a delicate flavor And you know, some of the meads are heavy and sweet, and we do a traditional one so we don't flavor, and people really like that because you get the taste of the honey and it's not masked by spices or fruit. So the Saskatoon is a really popular one on its own because it's versatile. It's kind of the middle of the road. It's what one of our gals calls the workhorse wine. Yeah, and surprisingly, rhubarb is really popular too. Yeah.
Now, you can find the wines all over the place, all over our region, all over the province, in different farmers markets and different liquor stores and things like that. If people are going out and looking for a great wine, of course, it's local, it's right here in our region, they've got to try it. What would you say to them? What would you recommend?
Typically, I would say go the middle of the road, you know, with the Saskatoon or the apple, because they are semi-dry. And then from there, you can decide if you want to go drier, like with the cherry wine, or if you want to go to semi-sweet, like the raspberry or the honey wine. It's because of the local movement, people are interested in what's local. So in the past, they might not have been interested because this 100-mile diet was not a big thing. But I think it's just people's curiosity, and also people realizing the importance of local economy and supporting their local producers in different ways. Yeah, so I think it's just kind of where society's at right now.
Don't go anywhere. When ATR returns, we get a special tour of the orchard and get some growing tips that could help you with your fruit trees at home.